so for today's project, we're making this cute vinyl and fabric bag, a boxy bag, and let's measure it. I don't even know the measurements of it. It is about 9 inches by 6 inches. And my purpose for this bag was, I don't know if you remember in a couple of videos back, I made these 2 jackets for my sons, these windbreakers. They're really lightweight, you know, like good for baseball games. And I don't know, for some reason baseball season started and it's kind of cold again. So I think I need to keep these in the car. But I don't know if you're like me, but the kids eat in the car and there's roaches in the car. And I don't know, I don't like to put anything like cloth or clothes in a car that's not in a plastic zipper bag. Anyway, so I was looking for a bag that would hold this. And then when we were at the fabric store, my son picked out this material. I don't know, because he wanted to. So I thought, oh, maybe I can make a cute bag with it. And while we were there, we also picked up this green vinyl. So this is double layer. It's kind of thin. It's like the picnic table type covering kind of vinyl. Not the like maybe 12 or 16 gauge that I usually use for my bags. I want to say this is 10. If I could feel it, it's either 10 or 12. Hard to say, but it is like a little bit stickier, you know, like more stretchy. Anyway, so I had this vinyl and I had this fabric. So I thought I would make a boxy bag with it. And I've never made one like this before. So this is my first one that has the vinyl over the fabric. I've used, you know, fabric and I've used vinyl, but not together. And so it was like a little confusing. So it's very basic, like a basic boxy bag, but you do have to keep reminding yourself that you're treating the vinyl and the fabric as one. Yeah, not as a outer and a lining. So anyways, let's get to it. This was really easy. I kind of customized it for the jackets. Like I folded it and I measured it and I just added about 4 inches to each side. And it wasn't perfect just because I only had half a yard of this fabric and I used it for some other things. So I perfectly had like 2 squares like this. So I made one here and then I'm gonna show you guys with this one. And then, so this is 2 cuts of fabric and then 2 cuts of vinyl. It's sticky, but yeah, 2. And the dimensions are 12.5 by 9 3/4. So that was the maximum amount of space I had on the fabric. So that's what I did. You can make it bigger or smaller, but just know that you know, so 12.5 equal to 9 inches on width on the actual bag, and 9 3/4 ended up being about 6 inches on the actual bag. So yeah, unless you had something really specific you wanted to cover or put in like I did, no problem. And then for the tabs, I also have a 3-inch by 7-inch piece and one of the vinyl too. And then it's also helpful to have a little piece of paper that's 1.5 square. Okay, so I'll show you what I did. So you're gonna take just 1 layer of the fabric, face side up, and then 1 layer of the vinyl, and then you're just gonna put it over. So try to, like if you have a fold like this, I'm gonna put it at the bottom. But we're just gonna match it up right over, and then we're gonna clip it all around. So if you can see here, it's a little bit going over, actually kind of a lot. So maybe I will cut that. Usually I wouldn't bother if it's just a little bit, but since it's kind of a lot, I will use my rotary cutter and just cut the excess off. So easy with the rotary cutter. So back to pinning the vinyl on the fabric. It's okay if the vinyl or the fabric doesn't match up within a 1/4 inch inseam, because it won't matter too much. Okay, so we have one down, then we'll do the next one. And that way you can kind of treat these 2 layers as one piece. So you can do this with any like vinyl and fabric that you kind of want to laminate without actually laminating it on there. I just happen to have green, and the school colors is green, so it kind of works out. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about the zipper. So we're also gonna need a 9-inch zipper. I just bought this pack from Amazon. So just a 9-inch zipper. Okay, we'll leave that on the side. And then now you're gonna need your little 1.5-inch square. So we're gonna cut the square off on each corner, making sure that you're focusing on the fabric, not the vinyl. So I'm gonna put the edge of the square on the edge of the fabric, not the vinyl. And we're just gonna cut these little squares out. And this is what makes the boxy shape. So if you don't want your boxy bag to be this wide, because it's about, you know, this equals about 3 inches wide, you can do a 1-inch box if you would rather have it more tall and less boxy, or less wide, I guess. But I was trying to fit the jackets in, so I really wanted it to be a little wider. And having this little square here was the easiest way. You can totally measure it with a ruler or whatever. It's just easy to have this little template. So you see how the vinyl is sticking out? I can trim that now, just really quickly, making sure not to go too far in. But yeah, so we're focusing on the fabric, not the vinyl. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this with this side and then come back. Okay, so I had my corners cut out in both pieces, and I just wanted to mention the reason why I'm doing it this way versus the other way that I showed in my boxy bag is I wanted the zipper just to be on the top like this. And if I wanted it to go around like halfway here, up on the top and over here, I would do it the other way, where you cut the boxes out after, because it is easier that way. Also, my zipper was shorter, so I know I only had a 9-inch zipper, so it only went across the top and it wouldn't fit all the way around the side. So that is why I'm doing it this way. But it's always good to have like different ways of doing things in your sewing arsenal, I guess. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure you're at the top. So I want this to be the top. Get your zipper, and then with right sides together, so it's going to be fabric facing up, vinyl, and then zipper, you're going to pin it on. And then really just matching it up to the fabric. So if you can see there's some green vinyl sticking up on the outside, you just completely ignore that. And then line up the fabric and the zipper. Okay, so when we get to the machine, we're just going to sew right across there. And then we should also prep our tabs. And so I have the 3 by 7-inch piece of fabric and the vinyl. So face up, I'm going to put the vinyl on top. And you see how it's like not quite even? That's totally fine. It's going to get folded over. So we're just going to kind of make sure it's on each other good. You can fold it in half and kind of just finger press it. And then we're going to just fold the insides in. It doesn't have to be all the way in if you don't want to. It really depends on how fat you want your tabs to be. What matters the most is that one, it's even in length. So it's about, if I look over here, it's about 3/4 inch. And also that these ends are flush, so they look nice. And then we're gonna clip. And then when I sew this, I'm gonna sew the folded edge first. And that just kind of makes it easier when you fold this side, which is like 4 layers of fabric and vinyl. Yeah, I find I get a neater edge this way. So we're gonna go to the sewing machine and sew this part and this part. Okay, so I have my zipper foot on. I have it turned so that it's like a little bit to the left. And I'm gonna do a 3.5, is it millimeter? I don't know, 3.5 stitch. So I'm gonna open up my zipper so I don't have to sew on top of the middle thing. And we're just gonna sew straight across, pretty close to the zipper, like not really close on it, but I'd say like 1/8 of an inch off of it. Okay, I'm gonna leave my needle in, zipper foot up, and I'm gonna move the zipper head to the top. Now I can just go down very easily. Okay, now we're gonna open it up, and I'm just gonna top stitch all the way down. And I'm gonna use my regular foot. I feel like I just get a nicer seam that way. With the zipper foot, it kind of goes all over. And that might just be because my machine is old. I don't know. But for me, it's easier. So top stitch 1/8 all the way down. Okay, now we're gonna get our tabs. I'm just gonna sew straight down. The folded side first, and then the edge. Okay, so the next step is to sew this right side onto the right side of the zipper. So just be careful because the vinyl is kind of sticky. So I kind of lay it on like how I want it before. Like you won't be able to slide it around. So same thing, pin or clip it so that the fabric and the zipper head match, not the vinyl. Completely ignore the vinyl. Okay, so we're just gonna put my zipper foot back on and then stitch down. So I have my zipper foot back on, and we're gonna just sew close to the zipper again.
A little child.
So now I'm gonna open it up and then switch my foot to the regular one and top stitch down.
It's harder just to be fascinated, breathing free. But I can hear raindrops tapping.
Also at this point, I like to kind of attach my zipper ends together. Just makes it easier for me when I'm doing all the other things. So I'm gonna open up the zipper just a little bit and then sew right across, right over here. Not on the middle. Okay, now we can cut off these extra pieces. Ideally, I would cut off this metal part so I don't accidentally sew on it, but it's too late. I can cut off this one though, so that's good. Okay, and then now we're going to sew the pieces together. So make sure that your zipper is at least halfway open, or else you're gonna like sew yourself shut. And I've done that before, so irritating. Now we're gonna match up this, and sew them together. So remember also, you're putting fabric edge to fabric edge, not vinyl. So ignore the vinyl. Although make sure it is kind of flat in there. do make sure that the vinyl is laying flat though, it's not pinched anywhere, and that you are sewing over it. You don't want any holes in your outer lining. So we're just gonna go ahead and sew straight down this. So we're just doing a 1/4 inch inseam. And I'm sewing on the 3rd stitch length.
Almost fell asleep on Zoom. I yawn at the display.
So now what we're gonna do is trim the edges. So I'm just gonna get my scissors, and if there's any excess material or vinyl sticking out, I'm gonna trim it. See right there. So this material, it frays a lot, I noticed. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't have a serger, but if I did, I would probably serge it. But otherwise, I'm going to just do a zigzag down the edges, just to clean it up. Okay, so the next part, we're gonna open the bag almost all the way. Don't go too far. I just did that and I had to reattach the zipper. That was a pain. But we're going to open up the corner, and with both, I guess, what do you call these, sides facing the same way, we're gonna match it up. Match the seams up. And then clip it together. If you have a hard time with sewing these corners, you can also pin further up, like that. And while you're sewing, it kind of holds it together. So we're gonna do that on all the sides. So when the way that you're facing it, it has to be the same for all sides, just so it doesn't get all twisted and messy. So match up the seams, and then fold down the edge, and then pin. And then for the top, now we're going to do the handle or the tabs. So I usually just cut this in half, and then you can choose now, like if you want to do a D-ring, if you want to do longer straps, shorter straps. I just wanted like a small, like 1 inch kind of tab. And also I made this, I'm not going to demo how I made this because this is like super messy. Because it's so many layers, I couldn't sew like with all the nice or the raw edges folded in. But you can do something like this, especially if you already know how to do this. So I'm just gonna put a large key ring on one of them. And then you can, especially if you have a pattern, you wanna find which side you want facing out. So I kinda want the design. And then I'm gonna put the ring in, fold it in half. And you can pin it. Just so you don't forget which side you chose. Okay. And the way that I like my zippers to be when I do a bag is I like the wristlet part or the D-ring on the side with the zipper, and then just a simple one on the side to close it. I don't know, that's just my preference. So the zipper is facing this side when it's closed, so I'm gonna put the key ring side this way. So we're gonna do the same thing. Maybe it's easier if we do. So match up make sure this seam or the extra is folded the same way. And this seam is gonna go in the middle of the zipper. And it is vinyl, so it's kind of sticky, so you might have to like play with it a little. Okay, and then once you have that, then we're gonna stick in the key ring and make sure the ring side is on the inside. And when I do this, I always leave the tab like a little bit sticking out. One, I don't need it to be really long. I think it looks weird when the tabs are too long. And also so that you know which direction is pointing. You want it to be like right in the middle. You don't want it to be like on the side or anything. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. and then we're going to cut off the edge anyways. So look at the way this seam is folded. Put it right along the middle of the zipper, and then insert your tab. Especially this one, I feel like this one should be short because you're just using it to pull it closed. So I'm gonna let it stick out kind of a lot. Just put that right in the middle. So sticky. Okay, and now we're just gonna sew. So I'm gonna do the bottom edges first and just do a 1/4 inch seam right across. Okay, and when I do the seam over here, I'm gonna double or back stitch along the zipper just to reinforce it. It will be kind of hard though because it's quite thick with the tab in there. Okay, now I'm gonna trim all the edges and zigzag.
Another lazy afternoon.
Okay, so now we can turn it right side out. I'm gonna open my zipper all the way and then just turn it right side out. This vinyl is sticky, but at least it's not like hard to turn it inside out. And then we're just gonna press the corners out on the bottom. And then on the top corners, make sure all the seams are puffed out. Okay, and there you have it, your very own laminated kind of water resistant pouch. So this one is quite big, it holds a lot. I mean, it does hold 2 jackets, kid-sized jackets. And yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, and it looks pretty cute. But yeah, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in my next video.